in-depth practice. Let's see the video.
A data center might have multiple layers of defense. We would have administrative controls such as policies and procedures. Then logical or technical controls, which include programming to limit access. There are also physical controls which we sometimes forget about in our highly technical world. Regardless of how much we focus on cloud computing and virtualization, there is always a physical location where information is being stored or processed in a physical hard drive in a physical computer. Even in a data center in a large organization that provides cloud computing services, for example, there is still a physical aspect of information storage and processing.
Let's see what is there in next. Principle of privilege. The principle of least privilege is a standard of permitting only minimum access necessary for user or program to fulfill their functions. Users are provided access only to the system and programs they need to perform their specific job or a task. Let's see the video.
Gabriella is a recent new hire at JavaStep, and she reaches out to Nate for help.
Hey Nate,
Yep.
I accidentally submitted my time card already and I can't get into the payroll system to fix it.
Well, of course you can't get into the system. Only the manager, that's me, can get into the payroll system. Otherwise, you'd have employees giving themselves raises and having access to confidential employee information. Here, let me show you. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Yep. All good.
thanks.
Welcome.
Nate explains to Gabriella that her access to the system is limited by her role. She doesn't have the proper permissions to make changes to her time card, just to complete and submit it. That's all she needs to do in her position, so she is restricted from other functions in the system. But he's happy to help and reassures Gabriella that he will make the necessary changes.
Examples of this privilege. To preserve the confidentiality of information and ensure that it is only available to personnel who are authorized to see it. We use privileged access management, which is based on the principle of least privilege. That means each user is granted access only to the terms they need and nothing further. For example, only includes working in billing will be allowed to view customers' financial data, and even fewer individuals will have the authority to change or delete the data. This maintains confidentiality and integrity while also allow availability by providing administrative access with an approximate password or sign-on that proves the user has the approximate permissions to access that data. Sometimes it is not necessary to allow user to access the information via a temporary or limited access. For instance, for a specific time period or just within normal business hours, or access rules can limit the fields that the includes can have access to. One example is a healthcare environment. Some workers might have access to patient data but not their medical data. Individual doctors might have access only to data related to their own patients. So, in some cases, this is regulated by law, such as HIPAA in the United States and by specific privacy law in other countries. Systems often monitor access to private information, and if logs incident that someone have attempted to access a database without the proper permission, that will automatically triggers an alarm. The security administrator will have the record in the incident and alert the approximate people to take action. The more critical information a person has access to, the greater the security should be around the access. They should definitely have manufacturer authentication for instance. Well, this is all about the least privilege.